Hello everyone, in this video we're going to discuss rotational inertia. So this rotational inertia is kind of describing how much mass is moving around a point of a rotating object. So this main equation we have here is this rotational inertia I is equal to the mass times the radius squared. And so the units of this rotational inertia will just be kilograms for the mass, the radius in meters squared, so we can just denote it as kilograms meters squared. And so what is this actually saying, right? Is that this is for any point of mass rotating with this radius r. So if we had like a point and there's like some mass m and it's rotating around, the rotational inertia of this ball or little point of mass is going to be I equals mr squared. But now let's say that we had like some ring of mass rotating. So let's say we have like a ring here, and I'll do it in black actually. So we have like a circle like this. Imagine this is a perfect circle, and it's like a ring, right? And so this ring is rotating around. So we can have this point, and each point of this mass, each point on this ring is a radius r. So we can just try to find one little point of mass right here, right? And we can call this m1, right? And so if we wanted to find the rotational inertia of just this one little point of mass, we would have m1 radius squared. But now let's choose the next point, another little point on this ring right here, and call this m2. So this is I1, but I2 would just equal m2 radius squared. And so if we wanted to find the rotational inertia of this whole ring that's rotating, we just have to sum up every little infinitely small point. And if we did that, we would get this equation right here. So we can see that the rotational inertia of a ring simply will just equal the total mass of the ring, we'll say m, times the radius squared. And so other objects are going to have different coefficients in the front here. Like if you had a solid sphere, you'll have a different rotational inertia than if it was a hollow sphere or a rod rotating. And we'll look at some other examples later of how you can actually calculate those, but a lot of times to get the value of something rotating just on its own, you would need some form of calculus. So for the scope of algebra-based physics, they'll likely give you what the object's rotational inertia is, but we can calculate it if we're given the center of mass inertia, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's do an example just simply calculating and comparing rotational inertias. So in this case, we want to rank the rotational inertia of each rod about its axis. So this is the axis right here, this little dot. And so we can say this rod is rotating around like this way. And so we want to compare these. So the rod itself has negligible mass, so we can assume that the rod is not causing any rotational inertia, and it only has to do with these balls that have m. So the m represents some unit of mass, and so they're all related to each other. So let's just calculate these in terms of m for each one of them, and r obviously being the distance from each of these points. Okay, so let's start with the rotational inertia of rod A. So we know it's going to be the sum of the mass times the radiuses. And this radius is going to be from the axis, right? So they're going to have different radiuses for each one of these points. Okay, so if we try to find these sums, well, let's look at the first point. We have a ball right here that is 0.5 m. So we know that's the first mass is 0.5 m. But the radius of this, since it's right on the axis, is just going to be 0. So the radius here is 0 squared, and so this term will go to 0. So now let's do the next one. We have this ball right here of mass m, so it's just m, And now the radius here is just going to be r, because it's the distance from here to here is just r. And so that's squared. And then we need to add this mass ball right here, which is m. But in this case, even though it's r from this m to this ball right here is still rotating around the original axis. So this will be a length of this entire length, which is just 2 times r. And so now we can go ahead and simplify this to get IA, which equals, this whole term just goes to 0. We have mr squared plus, after squaring this inside, we get 4mr squared. And so this final answer for IA is going to be 5mr squared. Okay, so now let's do this for rod B. So IB is going to be the same thing. We can sum them up. Now there's no masses on this axis, and we know even if there was, it wouldn't matter. So we can just start on this first ball right here, which has a mass of 0.5 m, and the radius is just r. And then we square that, and then we add the second one, which is a mass of 2m times the radius of 2r, because again it's rotating around this axis, so we need this entire distance. So this will be 2r squared. And so if we go ahead and solve this out, we get 0.5 mr squared plus 2 times this 2 squared, which is 4, so it would be plus 8 mr squared. And then if we add these together, we just get 8.5 mr squared. And this is for IB. Okay, so now we can do IC here. So IC equals, we have this first m of 2m on this ball right here, and this is just a distance of r, plus the second ball, which is a 0.5 m, and that distance is 2r, and then we have to square this. And so just like the last three, we can go ahead and simplify these to get 2mr squared plus this 0.5 times this 2 squared, which is 4. 4 times 0.5 is 2. So we get 2mr squared. And our final answer for this one will be 4mr squared. And so now we get each of our inertia values in terms of m and r, and we can go ahead and compare these now. And we see that IB is the greatest, and then we have 5mr, so IA, and then IC. And so that's how we can compare rotating inertia. We just literally sum up each point that has mass and multiply them by the radius from this axis. Okay? So let's now look at how we can calculate our own rotational inertia. So what this equation is basically saying is that we have, if we want to find a rotational inertia of some object, it's the sum of the rotational inertia of the object rotating around its center of mass plus the mass of the object times the distance from the center of mass. So the distance, from the center of mass. So let's look at this example. Let's say we were given the rotational inertia of a rod of length L rotating around its center of mass. So this rotational inertia is 1/12 ml squared. And you might see this might be given in some problem that you're having to deal with a rotating rod. So this I, we can call the center of mass rotational inertia because it's rotating around its center of mass. And we want to find what is the rotational inertia of a rod rotating around one end of the rod. So this whole rod is now rotating around like this from its end. So that's what we want to find. Okay, so we know that this I that we want to find equals the I center of mass plus this md squared. Okay, so what do these equal? Right, so we know I center of mass, this is the given center of mass that they gave us. So it's 1/12 ml squared. Now this big M is just the mass of the rod, so we can just plug in m, since we said it's a rod of mass m. And this distance is the distance from its center of mass that's rotating around. And so right here is the center of mass, So this is the distance we want to look at from here to here. And that's simply just going to be 1/2 the length of L. Like this. And so now we have all of these variables in terms of each other, so we can go ahead and start simplifying this rotational inertia. And so this is 1/2 squared, which is 1/4 ml squared. And so now we just need to do 1/12 plus 1/4, and this is multiplied by ml squared. So I'll just do that over here. Just a simple adding of fractions. So 1/12 plus, that'll be 3/12, so that equals 4/12, which equals 1/3. Okay, and so this final rotational inertia is just going to equal 1/3 ml squared. And so we notice that 1/3 is a lot larger than 1/12, and that makes sense because there's a lot more mass that's away from this rotating axis. So the more mass that's away from the axis, the larger this rotational inertia is going to be, where in this case, a lot of these locations, like here and here, are all very close, and there's a little bit outside. But at this point, there's a few mass that's close, but a lot of mass that's a lot farther from rotating, and so that will give it more rotational inertia. Okay, so that's what we got for this video. Let me know if there's any questions in the comments, and thanks for watching.